Hey cranky friends, it's Cheri and I'm back in the craft camper for another edition of Will It Crank? Alright, so I tried the Red Heart granny yarn, the granny square yarn. You'll have to watch that video of my somewhat review of how that went. But we're going to try something that I normally would say is a no-no, because I normally don't use Red Heart, like Super Saver type yarn in the Sentro 48. But we're going to try it, guys. It's the granny square yarn from Red Heart. This is the color. See that? It's really pretty. Actually, what is the name of this color? It's called Soft Sky. This is a 4-weight yarn. It is, let's see, there's a lot in here because you're able to supposedly make like 13 granny squares out of it. Let me see how much yardage we have. It's 417 yards. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, are you ready? You want to see what happens with it? Hopefully it'll work. I'm thinking it probably won't. I'm thinking it'll probably tuck stitches, probably by row 6, but we'll see. Stay tuned. Okay, let's cast on and see what happens. Well, I managed to get to row 12 without a tuck stitch. Okay, it's cranking not too bad here, but occasionally it'll start to pop. So I'm going to take it off before it damages the machine. And what I mean by popping is when I'm cranking, the handle will actually pop. It'll make a popping sound, which means it's having a really hard time with the knitting process with this yarn. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off. I think this would be really pretty. It might actually go in my Addy. I'm actually going to hook the Addy up next, and then we'll see how it does on there. Let's take this off. I'll try to be kind of careful and go slow. It's just that these Sentro machines, whether it be the Loombot or the Sentro 48, they just don't do well with the Red Heart Super Saver type yarn. They do okay with Big Twist. So I'm going to go ahead and just frog this out and then hook up the Addy, and let's try it on there to see what it looks like. Okay, so I have the Addy hooked up now. We're going to go ahead and cast on. And my thing here that I want to see is, obviously, it's not going to work on the Sentro 48, and I certainly don't suggest it on the Loombot either. The Addy sometimes is not as problematic when it comes to yarn, but my suspicion is it'll still tuck with the Addy, so we'll see. Alright, so are you ready for the end result? Guess what, guys? The Addy 46, I didn't get one tuck stitch. Not one. It went through really well. It cranked just a little harder, but the machine handled it really well. And sometimes some Super Savers would do okay in my Addy, but I still, most of them I would get tuck stitches. So I was a little bit surprised, to be quite frank. So I just kept cranking. This is a smaller hat though, because this is such thicker yarn, and the Addy for me, I'll put it on here for you so that you can see. The Addy for me does a pretty tight hat. Now if you would do like just wear it like this and not put the brim on it, I think it'd do okay, but see how snug it is? See? Whoop whoop. So this would, to me, now you can see why I use the Sentro 48. See? This is why. It might be my tension, but I've tried looser tension. But anyways, I had to try it because this yarn is gorgeous, guys. Okay, so let's rate it out. Let's rate it. And I'll tell you my thoughts about like uses, okay? So here it is again. It was, what's the color for this colorway is Soft Sky. Gosh, it's so pretty. But it's still a little rough. So for softness, I would give it a 2. For color, I'm going to give it a 5, guys, because I love the colorway. I love the stripes. I love the idea of getting some really cool variation in stripes without all the tie-ins. And I think this would be a good yarn. If you have an Addy, I would not suggest it for the 48 or the Sentro 48, the Loombot, or any of the Sentro machines. I wouldn't suggest it. I think you'll break your machine. I may have like broke a gear in mine in trying it. No joke. So maybe I'll have to get another backup. That's okay. We'll buy another machine. So I think for like doing blankets and scarves, and I can do kids hats, and that's what this is going to be, is a kids hat. For ease of crankability, for the Sentro 48, and I would say 0, obviously, because you can't. For the Addy, it was good. I'll give it a 4. For the Addy, I'll give it a 4. For the Sentro, I'll give it a 0. And for overall loveliness, I think I'm going to give it, just because I can't use the Sentro or the Loombot, I'm going to give it a 3. Otherwise, I give it a 4. But I'm going to say 3 for overall loveliness. We're going to give it a 3. So there you go. It's the Red Heart Granny Square yarn. It's pretty darn cool, guys. Hopefully this is helpful, and if you make anything with it, I would love to see what you do. But again, I don't advise it in the Sentro 48 or the Loombot. So again, thanks for watching. You have a great one.